Good morning. Hi, it's Friday, and this is Eric Dahl with Dahl Integration Marketing, where we help business owners build businesses that grow and run without them, so they have freedom, not a job. So today I'm going to talk to you about a very, very important topic, and that topic is follow-up. You know how they say the fortune's in the follow-up? From my experience, that is true. And there's actually a strategy that you can use to really help boost your effectiveness when it comes to follow-up. In fact, what I want to talk to you guys about today is how to automate your follow-up process for maximum sales. Okay? How to automate your follow-up for maximum sales. Okay, so I'll go through that. Before I jump into that real quick, before I forget, I have a deep dive training where I go into all these things in more detail. So if you're interested in sales, interested in follow-up, interested in marketing, advertising, I have a deep dive training. Okay, it's free. You can find it you can register at www.fvmclass.com. Okay. So all right, so let's just jump in. All right, let's jump in. So there's actually 5 phases. There's 5 phases of the follow-up process that I recommend my clients use, and I'll go through this pretty quickly because I don't want you guys to get too stuck on the details at this point, but I want you guys to understand the framework, like what's the thought process here, and then again, you can always join me on one of those one of those webinars and we can go into more detail about it. But right now, I'll give you a little bit so you can start to think about how you might be able to implement this. I think just understanding the framework will help you better follow up, right, with your prospects and your leads. So the first part of this is, and I'm assuming that these are people you're following up with are people who have already indicated interest. They're already leads, right? They're already prospects, somebody who already knows who you are. So this isn't for like cold calling and whatnot, right? So this is for people who are already in your funnel, already interested in what you have to offer. Okay, so let me just preface that. So when somebody becomes a lead, in most cases they're indicating interest in something you're offering, right? So they've actually volunteered their contact information, right? So a lead is someone who is requesting information from you, and they have willingly volunteered their contact information. Okay, so I'm not talking about cold emails. I'm not talking about anything like that. Anything that's unelicited, nothing like that. I'm talking about these are people who have willingly volunteered and given them your contact information to follow up with them. Okay, that's a lead. In my book, that's a lead, right? So, and revisit other videos where I talk about lead attractors and things like that, where we create a lead attractor to actually attract those leads, right? So, but I'm assuming right now that you already have the lead, okay? And here's how you follow up. So the first step to this, step 1 is, it's called a opener series. Oh, hi, Kelly. I see you there. Good to see you. Anyway, so the first thing is the what I call the opener series. And what's cool about the opener series is that it's like how you open the conversation, right? It's how you open the communication. So, for example, most people, when they're following up, it's all about the sales, all about the pitch. What we always want to do is we want to acknowledge what they've done, right? We want to thank them, and we want to build that relationship. So we want to talk to them about our business, what we stand for, what we're against, and just to make sure it's a good fit too. It's another way to kind of also qualify as well, right? Because you tell them about yourself, and they'll know if there's not a good fit, and you won't progress any further, right? So it's really important that everyone that you invite into your community that become leads, they go through some kind of opener series where they get to know more about your business, so that when they see any kind of fault from you, they know who you are, they feel comfortable with who you are, right? And they look forward to your messages from you, right? So that's the key to the opener series, is you're really trying to build a relationship. You're not all business. You're sharing some things personally about you. You're sharing things, some things about the mission of the business, things like that, charities, right? So it's very important to establish that at the beginning. So it's opener series. Now the second part of this, right, and it's all step one. The second part of this is what I call the interest series. So now that you have somebody that's a lead, they're interested, right? They're interested. They're generally interested in what you have to offer, right? So your goal with this series is now to help push them to the next step, right? The next step is what we call a trigger offer, right? And I talked about that in the last video. And so whatever that trigger offer is, whatever that next step is for them, the goal of the interest series is to get them to now take that next step. Okay. And usually I like to start with 3 emails where I follow up with them. And in each email, I'm just giving them, more reasons, more benefits, more stories, more case studies on why they should take the next step. Okay. So this doesn't have to be complicated, right? You can keep it really simple. It's like, hey, I acknowledged, this is for example, hey, I acknowledge that you're interested in this lead attractor that you just requested. Great. By the way, we're also offering this, this trigger offer over here. And here's why I think you should take me up on it, right? And you go into that. So that's a series right there. Okay. So very simple. And then now if they do take action, right now they're in step 2, right? Step 2, which is called the action series. Now, the cool thing about the action series, I call it the action series because now these are leads that are really indicating that they're interested in you. In some cases, they might even be customers, right? They've taken you up on the trigger offer or their free consultation, or some kind of, time commitment, right? Maybe they watched the video, whatever that is, but they've indicated some serious interest in what you have to offer. Now those people are in your action series. And that's cool because now they're getting so close to becoming one of your primary offer customers, right? So again, don't worry about the lingo so much as just what we're doing is we're trying to lead people to that next step, each step in this follow-up process, so that we're talking to every prospect differently. Every lead is different, right? Because of the behaviors that they've taken with you, right? So that's why this follow-up process is effective, because you're talking to people based on their behavior and what they're doing and what they're interested in, right? These aren't like boilerplate across the board follow-up processes, right? It's like custom. It's like a custom experience for each lead in your funnel. Okay. So that's very critical. That's why this works so well. And so so when they take a step towards us, we acknowledge that step and we follow up with them to help them, keep going through the process. Okay. So we're working with the prospect. It's like a team effort, right? To help them solve their problems, right? And it's not pushy. It's in a way that they're excited and they're happy with this. Okay. So then from there, once they go through this action process, right? At some point they're going to stop buying, right? At some point they're going to stop buying. And so at this point, where I see a lot of my clients stop is they just stop promoting, right? They stop sending them messages. They just stop. And we don't want to do that, right? We want to always re-engage our leads, right? Because that's important. It's a lot like dating, right? If you stop taking your significant other out on dates, then the relationship, starts to dwindle, right? Same thing with this. We want to constantly create information, reasons to get back in touch with our leads. Okay, that's how we keep them engaged. So we have to have a process, and in later videos I'll talk about a promotional calendar. That's super critical when it comes to the attention series, because you want to keep that attention, right? We want to keep that attention. So when somebody goes through the attention series, our goal is to get them back into a interest series, right? So it loops back up. So that's the game we're playing. We're getting people getting their attention, and we're getting them interested, right? Then we're trying to get them into another action series, and that's the process. Now, what happens if they stop, opening our emails, stop answering our phone calls, stop calling us back? They just get unengaged with us. What do we do then? So what we want to do at this point, because it does happen, right? There is just like a natural entropy that happens with everything, right? People aren't always going to be super excited to get your emails, even if they are great customers of yours, even if there are, there's that certain point where, maybe, it's just run its course. You just don't know. You don't know what, maybe a business owner, in my case, one of my clients, maybe they sell their business. I mean, you just don't know what's happening in their life, right? So what you want to do at this point is you want to create a qualification series. And what this qualification series does, to start with like three or four emails, a couple, phone calls even, right? What this qualification email does is, hey, do you still belong here, right? Is this still something that you're trying to accomplish? Working with me. Are my emails, is my contact still relevant, right? So at this point you're trying to qualify them, because if it's not, then there's no reason to keep keep trying to engage with them, right? You want to take that effort into other leads that you have. So the qualification series is really important, just to see where they're at. Now, if they're in a good spot, good step, then usually they'll click on the email, they'll open it, or they'll call you back, and then now they're back onto your attention series, right? So we get them back into the attention series. We try to create another offer to get them interested again, and we start the whole process over again with them. Okay, so that's the process. Now, what happens though if they don't actually engage with us in the qualification, right? What happens then? Okay, well, what happens, okay, is that if they don't engage, then, sorry about that, I got a phone call, so I was on the phone. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. But okay, so if they don't respond to the qualification, okay, then we put them into a cold list. What that means is, this is somebody who is now not really a lead, right? But they're not necessarily cold either. So there's always a chance that they might, get back with us, right? So we don't send them as many emails as like we used to. We don't engage with them, but every once in a while, right? So they're kind of like an acquaintance at this point, right? So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually take them out of my email autoresponder. Okay, I'll take them out of it, and I'll put them into another email autoresponder, or I'll save their information on an Excel file, and then maybe when I'm running a special promotion, I might come back to them again and say, hey, here's, I have this. So because here's the thing too, when you're dealing with like email autoresponders and things like that, you get billed by contact. So it's really important to make sure you always have the best contacts, right, on your list. Otherwise, you're also going to be, spending more money than you need to either, right, at the same time, right? So you don't want that. So that's why this whole process is really important, because we always want to make sure that, we have an engaged list, and we have to constantly go through this process, right? These 5 phases. So that right there, is critical. So let's understand that. Now, the mistake that I see people make when they're trying to implement this is that they rely too much on marketing automation, right? So a lot of marketing consultants, they'll tell you about email marketing. Email marketing, yeah, that's everything, right? We get all we make all our sales from email marketing, or we have webinars, we have videos, but don't forget the personal touch. All right, I just see so many people, so many business owners, when they start getting this marketing automation, they think that they can just rely 100% on marketing automation, and it's just not the case, right? You still have to have that personal touch, and people expect that. Okay, all my best customers, most of them occurred after I made a phone call, which is like, I'd say about 95% of them, my best customers, the customers that pay me the most money, it was because I picked up the phone and called. Okay, so that's something to think about. So understand that the lead flow is really critical. Having the automation is super critical, right? Because this allows you. And here's another thing to remember: systems. People fail, but systems don't. So when you have these systems in place, it also helps you just make sure that you get in front of everyone, right? Because sometimes if you don't have these things in place, you forget to call or whatever. So that's the other reason you want to have this automation in place, but don't rely heavily on it, right? I would say 80-20. 80% automation, and then you have that 20% where you actually reach out and you call people, follow up with them, check in with them. Really, really super important. And then the other part of this too is, don't just limit yourself to email and phone, right? You can do voice broadcasts. You can do text messages. You can do social media, right? Like personal messages, things like that on social media. So there's all these different ways that you can actually communicate these days with your prospects. So you don't have to limit yourself to just one media. Okay, so that's pretty key. All right. So now the other part of this too is having the right software. So when you're trying to implement this, I see a lot of business owners trying to go either because they're trying to save money, they go super cheap, so they don't get the right tools to help them get the job done. It's kind of like, if I was digging a ditch, I can either use a shovel, right, or I can use my bare hands. What's more effective? What's going to take less time, right? And that's what I see a lot of business owners do is they're trying to use their bare hands to dig the ditch when they should be using the shovel. And so technology just makes everything so much easier, right? So if you have the right tools, then it makes a big difference. And actually what I recommend to my clients, I'll just give you a couple right now, and actually on my website, I have a resource page. But I personally use Infusionsoft, and for people, and that's pretty high, it's expensive, right? So it's not cheap, but another alternative to Infusionsoft is ConvertKit, which is a lot less expensive. I think it's like $30 a month. So if Infusionsoft is too much to handle, then I would use ConvertKit for email, and then also I would use CallFire for phone calls, because you can auto dial, right? So you can have a list of people, like maybe 100, 200 people, and instead of you manually going in and dialing, you can have this auto dialer dial, and then you can also have it leave voice messages for you as well on autopilot. So you can record one voice message, and it'll actually help you drop it into their voicemail for you. So you can, so if you had to make 100 calls, let's say, you can do that in a couple hours versus spend all day doing it, right? So CallFire. So I recommend that. And CallFire also does text messaging, text broadcast, and things like that. So there's really a lot of ways that you can really streamline, your fault process. Okay. And if you want to learn more about this, what I really highly recommend you guys do is go to my deep dive training that I do. It's free, absolutely free. And it's www.fvmclass.com. I would highly recommend that for anyone who is really looking for ways to dramatically improve their sales and just their marketing in general, right? Their business, their business in general. So I think that's really key. So if you have any questions, now's the time. You just leave those in the comments. If you don't have any questions, that's great. You can always come back to the video and leave a comment. I'll periodically be looking into these things, checking things out, and then I will, I can answer those questions on the next video that I do. Okay. And then also a question I did get last time, or a few videos ago. Somebody did mention something about like what service offerings that we offer. And so my answer to that is just, again, we're business growth experts, right? And I have everyone start with the free masterclass that I do, right? So at the www.fvmclass.com. If you're interested to know more about what I actually do, or what I'm offering, I would just attend that. Okay, so make a long story short. So I'm going to end with that. Thanks guys for being here. I know it's kind of early. It's Friday, so thanks so much. And I'm Eric Dahl, and I'm dedicated to helping business owners build businesses that grow and run without them, so they have freedom, not a job. So thanks again for being here. Appreciate it.